show here in a minute, but we're talking about the 11 herbs and spices that are in KFC's secret ingredients here. We got salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika. That's 5.
I would say maybe just a pinch of cayenne, slight pinch.
All right, he's talking about a tickle of cayenne. That's 6.
A tickle, yes, a tickle of cayenne.
A tickle of cayenne. That's 6. We got 5 more to go because there are 11 herbs and spices.
11 herbs and spices, man. Oh, crap. What else can you pull out of that?
Oh, man.
Cumin? No?
I don't, dude, see, here's the thing. Cumin, it's a very common spice in a lot of Mexican dishes. The problem with it is it's a very potent one. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. If you are at a construction site and you happen to catch a fresh armpit smell of one of the workers, or
it's cumin, dude.
Or a bowl of cumin, you couldn't tell the difference. You could.
Yeah. Exactly.
But when it's cooked, it's delicious. But
yeah, I mean, hey, absolute facts right there, yo.
On its own, it's very putrid. Not gonna lie. Okay.
So cumin's not it.
So we have 6. We have 6. So
yeah, cumin's not it. So crap.
Let's see. You said paprika, which is a good one. Maybe a touch of. Well, let's go the sweet route. Maybe some cinnamon. Maybe, I don't know. Oh, you know what? I think is in there.
No,
I think there's oregano in there.
Yeah. Slight, like I say, it's very slight though. It's very slight because if you really hit with some oregano, you could taste the oregano. I mean, because if you have a heavy hand, man, I mean that oregano can be overpowering.
I get you there. I feel that. So that's let's just say there's another pinch of oregano. That's 7.
Yeah.
God, we're starting to run out of quality spices here, man. Like common spices.
Thyme? No.
Maybe some bay, maybe a little bay leaf. Maybe a little bay.
Slight bay. Slight. Slight bay for sure.
Okay, well, that's 8. That's 8 of the Colonel's 11 herbs and spices right there. We're down to 3.
Yeah. Slight bay.
We need 3 more spices to hit that 11 herbs count. What are we missing here?
Rosemary is way too overpowering too. So
I was gonna think rosemary is very common, but for me, I don't like rosemary in my dishes. Like it's just too strong.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think it's rosemary.
And for sure it ain't dill, dude. I can tell you that right now, bro.
It ain't dill.
Probably the least of the spices, man. That I just can't. I cannot stand dill. I cannot stand dill whatsoever. I mean, they could banish it off the face of the earth, and I'll be perfectly happy.
I agree. I'm cool with that. Like, I get you there, man. No dill.
Yeah.
No dill.
Yeah, no dill.
God, man, this is a tough one. I really set us up here. So
you did, bro.
For whoever's watching right now, before we actually start, I posed what are the 11 herbs and spices. We have salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, touch of oregano, and touch of what else did you say?
Cayenne.
So that's 7. And we had bay leaf, so that's 8. So we're down to 3. We're down to 3 of the Colonel's 11 herbs and spices.
Down to 3.
Oh, gosh, this is so tough, man. What's in? You know, I never really bothered to check. What is in Cajun seasoning?
Cajun seasoning, cayenne, paprika, for sure.
Okay.
You know, like I said, you know, those two spices, they really do balance each other out. You know, like my wife, she has taken an extreme liking to smoked paprika. You know, like she would cook like some type of baked fish or whatever, or she would do salmon burgers, right?
What?
And and she would hit it with some garlic salt and some paprika, some smoked paprika, and set it off, man.
You should
Absolutely
tell her
set it off.
Try to make pepper cash. Pepper cash?
Yeah.
It's an East European dish with a lot of paprika and chili powder. It's supposed to be really good, but very, very spicy. It's almost like a curry, like butter chicken, almost like that.
Okay.
But it has that paprika taste rather than. Oh, there you go, curry. Maybe there's some curry in there. Maybe, I don't know.
You know what?
Here's the thing. Like, okay, did the Colonel make a trip out to that that side of the world be like, I like this spice. I'm gonna put it in my chicken. This is delicious.
I doubt it. I doubt it, man. I mean, no knock on anybody from Kentucky, but I doubt it. I doubt it.
Okay. But, let's get ready for the show here. We got 2 minutes, and I think
so.
Back to this.
So check this out. I went on and I cheated.
Okay.
I went online.
Oh.
Here are the 11 herbs and spices.
11 herbs and spices. Give them to me.
All right, and I think we hit on most of them.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Salt.
Okay.
Thyme.
Okay.
Basil.
Basil, not oregano, but basil.
Oregano, yes.
Okay, so it is. Okay, he's got a little Italian spin to it.
Okay. Celery salt.
Celery. Oh, come on. What the hell is celery? Come on. Have you ever eaten celery? Like, does it even have a flavor? You know why people like dip it in ranch and peanut butter? Because it has no flavor.
Because it has no flavor.
It's just water.
Exactly.
It's green water.
Exactly.
It's crunchy water. That's all it is. Okay.
All right. So I just named off four, right?
Uh-huh.
All right. No, I just named off. That's five. Celery salt makes 5.
Okay.
All right. Black pepper. We got that. So that's 6. Dried mustard.
You know what? God, dog it. How did we
Makes
forget?
perfect sense.
How did we forget? We're from the South, and we should have known that dried mustard was going to be in there.
Exactly. Makes perfect sense.
That's 7. Okay.
Paprika, we got that.
We got that one.
All right. Garlic salt, which we were close.
We were garlic. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Ground ginger.
Remember I told you there had to be some sweetness in there. Okay.
Yeah, ground ginger, but even with ginger, even though it's sweet, but it's got some heat on the back end though.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got that subtle heat on the back end, which if you taste the original chicken, it's got just slight touch of heat on the back end. So that's the ginger.
Okay.
And then the last one is white pepper.
White pepper. There is a white pepper? I didn't know there was
a white pepper. There is a white pepper. What? There's black pepper and there's white pepper, dude.
What? Okay.
Hey, man. Yeah. So.
You know what? That kind of blows. We got 50 seconds, but that blows my mind, man. White pepper and black pepper. See, folks, we can get along.
Nope.
We can't get along.
Oh, we can't.
If black pepper and white pepper can get along in the Colonel's chicken, we can all get along, guys. Come
on, man.
There's the equation. I just solved the American equation right there.
Preach.
11 herbs and spices. That's how we're
11 herbs and spices, man. Come on, that brings everybody together,
that's
bro.
That's how we're gonna be one UNITY equals white pepper and black pepper. Black pepper and white pepper equals UNITY. Let's do this, Rob. You ready?
Let's go, man.
Let's go.
It's time for another episode of Cap Casualties Podcast. Now here are 2 guys that were traded away from Houston long before it became fashionable.
Damn right.
It's Patrick Lopez.
Here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
And Rod English.
I've got the style and profile like never before. Woo!
Woo! Rod, we're back. It's another edition of Cap Casualties Podcast. We are recording March 8th. I'm Patrick Lopez. With me, as always, mi compadre, my friend of nearly 3 decades, the notorious R.O.D. You guys know him as Rod English. Rod, what's going on, man? What are we doing?
Man, hey, greetings and salutations, my brother. Hey, as always, man, it's all good, brother.
If you didn't catch the ramp up, we have usually a 10-minute countdown to the show start. We actually we had a little pre-production show meeting, and it became a discussion about the Colonel's 11 herbs and spices, what he puts in that chicken of his from Kentucky. And it kind of just bled into our countdown, which kind of just transitioned over into. We were close, man. We were close. We were missing of the list we threw out there. We were missing celery salt, which is
celery salt,
basil, and it was ground mustard. Those were the 3, right?
Yeah, dried mustard.
Dried mustard.
Yeah.
God, how did we miss the dried mustard? That's just blowing my mind.
I mean, especially been living in Texas the majority of our lives. I know you've been living in Texas all your life. I mean, I've bounced around a little bit, but being a native Texan, in our barbecue, dried mustard is a staple, man. So why we couldn't pick up on that is beyond me.
Yeah, man. When you make a lot of people, when they make their molasses-based barbecue sauce, they'll throw in dry mustard. Actually, it's a a lot of folks put it on as dry rub. If not just outright mustard, wet mustard, they'll use mustard dry rub because it's a little more potent. But it's a good sealer for their barbecue when they rub it, dry rub it before they throw it on the grill. So yeah, how did we miss that? I just, I get how we missed celery salt because I didn't even know celery has a taste. So
yeah, unfortunately it does.
It should be the Colonel's 10 herbs and celery salt. That's how it should be. That's what it should be called. Because I don't know. I mean, like I said, I have to eat celery with ranch or with peanut butter or something to give it some taste, man. Because it's all water and water based and.
Just to give it some life, dude.
All right, dude. I mean, maybe he was like, we have to have 11. And they're like, sir, we only have 10 quality herbs and spices. We need an 11th, damn it. Like Vince McMahon, we need an 11th, damn it. And he's like,
Pat,
there's some kid in the background. What about celery salt? I like it. Let's do it.
Allow me to make this one comment, though, man. I would have to say, in the 3-year history, roughly 3-year history of this podcast, that has been what we just went through is probably, I would say, the most informative intro that I've ever experienced.
Yeah, it was, right?
Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't bother with the show prep on what anything we didn't even really talk about. We didn't get a rundown set up what we're going to talk about today, just because lots in the off season except for the NBA All-Star game. But it was one of those things where I just posed it to you. We were just talking about. I don't even know how it started, but then I just said, Rod, I wonder what those 11 herbs and spices really are. And Rod was like, damn, I don't even know myself. So we played a let's figure it out thing, and then Rod decided to just cheat at the end of it and go Google it, and he got his 11. I mean, we were close though. We were down to 8.
Yeah,
and we were very close.
Very, very close. I mean, but Pat, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think on this particular episode, man, I mean, hey, we don't have a absolute set agenda, man. I think we're going to be freestyling on this one, man, which is going to be interesting, man.
Oh, yeah.
We're very interested to see where this goes, sir.
All I know is post-show meal is going to be a 2-piece and a biscuit. That's what I'm
saying. Man. Hey, that sounds like a plan. I had one I had 2 pieces and a biscuit yesterday, man, and it was slamming. So
it's in the books for us. So another episode, guys. We've been we were out for a few weeks. Just that's just adulting life. When we decided to kick this thing back off, we said we're not going to go every week. We just didn't. As men in our 40s now, we have a lot going on. As much as we like talking, doing the whole show thing every week, we want to be certain that we have fun, and keeping it to every week really was a draining process. We were going to try to go every other week, and then sometimes there's a major event where we'll go back-to-back weeks. So there's like the Super Bowl. We had to talk about leading up to the Super Bowl, and let's talk about immediately after it because it was a major event. There will be other ones. If there's the college championship game or some major news story that we really feel like it's worth breaking the every other week bi-weekly format, then we'll do it. We had to take another additional week just because we're adults with lives and we're busy men. We both have busy, bustling careers, and we said we're going to take another week. And plus, Rod was a little under weather last week. Rod, you didn't have the COVID, did you? Did you have the COVID?
No, I didn't have the Rona. Didn't have the Rona. Just here in sunny Orlando, Florida, over the last 3 weeks, we've had some extreme pollen content in the air, and this time around, it just started to kick my behind. Full transparency, real quick story. Before moving to Florida, I've been living here in Florida. Me and my family have been living here in Florida for the last 7 years. But prior to that, we lived about 1.5 to 2 years in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
And of course, prior to that, was living in Texas. When I lived in Texas, I had bad sinus issues, bad sinus problems.
Oh, yeah.
Always had major head colds and this, that, and the other. Spent about 1.5 years in Arizona in that dry climate, and I'm telling you, it took care of all my sinus issues, and I haven't had any sinus issues since. And so being down here, really don't get colds that much, really don't, but just every so often. But yeah, like I said, this time around, that pollen kicked my behind, man. And so I wound up getting a pretty, I mean, it wasn't too bad, but I just had a bad cough. And I'm sorry, y'all, I know we're not professionals, but at the same time, we do have professional careers. So we know what it is to be professional. And I don't think that me coughing and hacking and dang near choking on the mic would have been, too much of a good sound. So, I want to spare everybody.
Well, I appreciate that. That also saves me some time editing it out in post-production. But
see, there you go.
Well, let me ask you, what pollen are we talking about? The reason why I ask is because, like you said, I've lived in Texas pretty much my entire life. Different cities all over Texas, but I've been here the whole time. I am a victim of cedar pollen, and I am counting the days to where I purchase my house on the beach that I will eventually retire in. Now that I'm a remote person, I can just leave whenever I want to, but, very soon. And I was thinking about moving out to the sunny state of Florida on the beachfront. And I'm going to grossly overpay for something pretty close to waterfront property that's going to, take a massive hit in my retirement. But whatever, dude. What kind of pollen are we talking about? Because look, my goal is to move away from cedar because that's the only one that bothers me is cedar. Come December all the way through till kind of mid-February, it is fucking hell for me, man, because I am like draining like crazy. So I'm kind of curious if this cedar, juniper ash / cedar we're talking about, or is it something else?
I think it really depends on where in the state you are. Like here in Orlando, ragweed is king.
Okay. Right.
If you go further up north in the state, around between Jacksonville and Tallahassee, pine is king up there because you have a whole lot of pine trees up there.
Yeah.
And then the further south you go is not that bad. If we're talking Pensacola, I'm not sure, but I do know in between Tallahassee and Jacksonville, pine is real bad, and around these parts, ragweed is pretty bad.
And I'm the fool here. I'm allergic to juniper ash, is what they call cedar. And guess where I moved to? A place in Central Texas literally called Cedar Park.
Cedar Park, man.
Cedar Park. But here's the funny thing, though. I've lived here for almost 2 years now in this house, and the pollen up here isn't as bad as it is 15 miles down the road in downtown Austin. Maybe it's the way, maybe when it immediately blows off the trees out here, it kind of goes up in the air and then dips down into Austin. I don't know, but all I know is when I was living in Austin, when we first moved back over here, it was torture those first few years. It was brutal.
Right.
And the last 2 winters has been fine. And I mean, we've had droughts the last 2 years, like in the summertime. So, and a lot of the pollen levels, cedar pollen levels are played on how rainy it is in the summertime. In 2017, when we moved back here, it was brutal, not going to lie. And that's when Harvey hit. It would just nonstop rain all summer. So, of course, come November, I was miserable until February. But, ragweed, I can deal with. Pine, I can roll around in pine. I'm good with pine. I love me some pine. So, if it's ragweed and pine, I can deal with. But if we're talking about cedar, I was told that cedar only grows in this part of the country, right in the middle of the Bible Belt. And if that shit heads out Florida way, I'm going to be mad because I want to get away from cedar, man. I'm done with this. It's brutal. I'm dying. There was 1 year where I felt like I was dying. I was like, oh my God. And I literally was coughing so hard, I pulled a chest muscle. It was brutal. True story.
Snap.
True story.
Wow. Hey, so check this out.
Okay.
I'm on pollen.com. If you really want to get educated on pollen, I highly suggest, and I guess you can call this a free plug, folks at pollen.com. Hey, look, I'm hooking you up. If we want to talk a little bit of business later on, you know how to find us. Yeah. So anyways, there's a part on here where it talks about pollen counts, which cities have high pollen count as of today, and which ones are the best cities, which ones are the worst. Best city meaning that the pollen count's low. Worst cities means the pollen count is high.
Okay.
And let's see. Coming in at number 1 is Prescott, Arizona, which is weird because, once again, dry climate out there.
Sure.
Number 2, Las Vegas, Nevada. Once again, weird. Okay. Number 3, sunny Orlando, Florida.
Really? Wow.
And Pat, I kid you not, it makes perfect sense because if I showed you a picture of my pool in my backyard, there is a pollen ring around my pool. To where you could take your finger and literally collect wet pollen on the tip of your finger, and it's thick. It's that bad around here, man. So
yeah, we're done with pollen at this point. It wraps up. It finishes itself up probably around Valentine's. It starts up late November, early December, and it's brutal through the new year. And it just sucks because not only are you potentially getting sick, like the cold from other people, before COVID, being exposed to other people in the wintertime, they're just hacking and spitting all over each other. That's how I usually get sick. And with someone with a compromised immune system, it frustrates me. This was probably the healthiest I've been in the wintertime in a long time. And I had my drainage, but I was still able to do this show, it wasn't that bad. It usually, where it gets me is in the middle of the night. That stuff wants to drain while I'm trying to sleep, and then it's like, not happy. Anyway, guys, enough grossing you guys out with phlegm and allergies and pollen.
Mucus, right?
Let's talk sports. Since we've been out, I think the big one for us, Texas fans, or this state fans, J.J. Watt's no longer a Houston Texan. He is an Arizona Cardinal. Signed a 2-year, $31 million deal. I think it only counts like what, 4.5, not even $5 million the first year. That's okay. So it's backloaded on the second year. Fine, okay. 31-year-old guy, obviously well loved in the state. Deservingly so. The guy has a legacy in Houston that will never go away. What he's done off the field as well as on the field. I just want to get your thoughts real quick, Rod, on how you feel. Are you disappointed that we got to this point, or did you feel like, yeah, we knew this was coming and I'm not surprised at all? Like, did you have any type of feeling when you saw it happen, when you saw the announcement being made that he was being cut?
It was the latter. I knew it was coming. Because once again, this franchise is being run by a bunch of incompetent folks. And with all the turmoil that's going on the inside of the building on Kirby Drive, this doesn't come as a shock. Now, I will say this, J.J. Watt, the player,
sure.
I have mad appreciation and mad respect for what he has done as a Houston Texan. You talk about the ultimate professional. He did it right. You hardly heard him complain about anything. One of the hardest workers in the building. The numbers and the stats, it definitely spoke for themselves. Of course, as he started to get a little bit older, he started to get, some major bumps and bruises to where it impacted his production, but still the leadership in the locker room was a key factor in the Texans still maintaining some level of success. And so, I'll say it, as a former Texan fan, because once again, I'm done with the franchise until the McNair sell the franchise, period. And I'm sticking to my guns on that, So, but I have mad respect for J.J. Watt. As a player, I have more respect for him as a person because, just like you said, this man is a Houstonian, period. Okay. He's one of us, okay? As far as I'm concerned, he's one of us, okay? You talk about somebody that immediately, soaked up Texas culture, soaked up Houston culture, embraced it, lived it, didn't mind getting amongst the people and, was able to give a helping hand when the city was getting rocked with all kinds of natural disasters and things of that nature. He was one of the folks that, that immediately provide assistance. You only have a few people in the city to where if something's about to go down, beyond a shadow of a doubt that they're going to come to the rescue and provide some type of assistance. Two people that I know right off the top of my head, and that's Jim McIngvale, a.k.a. Mattress Mac, owner of Gallery Furniture, well-known businessman in the Houston community for as long as we've been alive, for as far as I know.
Sure.
And J.J. Watt was the next one.
All right.
They're I mean, you really can't, put into words how much he has meant to the Houston community and how much the fans loved him and embraced him. And like I said, you will talk to any Houstonian, native Houstonian, and they will tell you J.J. Watt, regardless of where he was born, regardless of where he grew up, he's one of us.
Sure.
And so that's my thoughts on JJ, and he's one of those guys to where, regardless of what team he goes to, except for the Cowboys, regardless of what team I root for, I'm still going to hate the Cowboys, period.
Sure.
But, regardless of what team he goes to, you wish him nothing but success and best wishes, right? Because he's just that type of guy, man. You root for people like him. You want people like him to win, and if he happens to, latch on to the Cardinals and the Cardinals go all the way to Super Bowl and they win a ring, then, I'm clapping my hands because once again, you got two guys on that squad, DeAndre Hopkins and JJ Watt, to where it's like, okay, you know what? I absolutely love them as players, and they deserve to get those rings, and I'm so happy for them,
Sure.
And so that's how I feel about JJ, and once again, wish him nothing but the best, man.
Yeah, I do too. It's frustrating because we've talked about this for several episodes now, and I don't want it to become a week or every episode redundant thing with us just slamming the Texans organization, but I get this one. I get why it had to be done. The guy was going to get paid $17 million this year, $17 million next year. It just wasn't worth it. That team is in cap hell. They're trying to work things out, and as much of a shit organization as it is right now, with just the culture and all of that stuff, and the Deshaun Watson nightmare, which we'll touch on here in a little bit. This was one of those things where I'll be quite honest for you. For the last 2 years, I felt like he should have either been cut or had his deal restructured, because he just hasn't been able to consistently play healthy. Now, there was it a couple years ago where he had just came off of that surgery, the broken leg surgery, and everyone was like, okay, and he had just come off of the two back surgeries the previous years, and people were wondering, okay, what's going to be left, and he had that 10-sack season. We're like, okay, we're going to get good J.J. Watt back. And then since then, he tore his bicep the following season, and he played all right. He came back a lot sooner than he should have to play in the playoffs. And, this year he was all right. He disrupted here and there. I just think we've gotten – I just think that the best of JJ is no longer – they're not going to get the best of JJ. Let's be real. 31 year, about to be 32. He's had a lot of injuries. But at the same time, I don't wish anything bad on the guy. It's just that's the part of this show is called Cap Casualties for a reason, because obviously, without outright saying it, he was a cap casualty. They cut him because he wanted out, of course. Let's be real. The part of it was he wanted out of this shit culture. And I'm going to keep calling it shit culture because that's what it is. But he wanted out of it, of course, so he could go play for a winner, to have a chance to try to win a ring, which is interesting because we're talking about the Cardinals, where it's like, yeah, but are they? But they're making an effort. They're making an effort. They got rid of David Johnson. They brought in DeAndre Hopkins. They brought in J.J. Watt. And don't they have Chandler Jones on the other side, if I remember correctly?
They sure do.
So they're making an effort to become a winner. That's what you have to do when you're here, kind of in the middle, and you want to take that. You're a middle team that could be a playoff contender, but you want to go from a playoff contender to a Super Bowl contender. You have to start adding pieces in, and they're slowly been doing that. The next thing is, can Kyler Murray really lead a team to the Super Bowl? Okay, that's a major question to ask there. The law of diminishing returns. DeAndre Hopkins has been so great for all of his entire career. Is he eventually going to hit that downward motion over the next couple of years to when they're trying to get over the hump? Or is he not? How can the defense hold up? Can Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt find a good chemistry together to really help create a disruptive and actually legitimate defense? I don't know. But it's a lot of questions to ask. How much is left in the tank? Really is left in the tank for J.J.? There's a lot of questions to ask there. But I get it. The show's called Cap Casualties because it's just like about this time of the year, big-name players get cut because of their giant contracts, and it's to a team it's not worth to have them around because – they're not getting enough out of them. They weren't getting $18 million a year out of J.J. Watt. That's not what the value they were getting. Now, when you look at the intangible things like the culture, the reputation, the humanitarian, all of those things. He helped raise tens of millions of dollars a few years back for Harvey. When he was just trying to raise $2 million, he raised like what, 40 or 50 million or something ridiculous to help with Harvey relief. Okay, great. The guy has always been a great guy. So I wish him the best. I do. I really do. It does create a lot of questions now. Are the Texans are they gonna try their damnedest to keep Deshaun Watson? Are they gonna really dig in and try to keep him? Well, today was announced. Like I said, it's March 8th when we recorded this episode. This afternoon, Dak Prescott got his contract. He finally got his deal after nearly mangling his leg, like having it completely torn apart and almost literally torn. Remember when that injury happened, Rod? They rushed him from the stadium directly to the hospital to immediately have surgery. Like there was, when something like that happens, you start talking about, are they going to have to amputate because there's so much nerve damage and ligament damage? Because that was a disgusting injury. It was gross. You felt for the guy because he was in that second year of his franchise tag, and he was just, was he in, wait, was he year 1 or year 2 of that franchise tag?
It was year 2. It was year 2.
Okay. And he still hadn't had his deal yet, and it just made you feel bad, just like when Earl Thomas went down. But Earl Thomas was a bit of a prick when he went down, shooting the finger at everybody to kind of prove a point that he was mad about it. You know what? There's a lot of stuff about Earl Thomas, like him having some type of orgy with his brother and their girls. Like, I don't know, dude. There's a lot about Earl Thomas. Like, I can't feel bad for the guy because there's a lot of weird shit around Earl Thomas, okay? So I don't feel bad for that guy, especially what happened with him in Seattle.
Yeah, and the fact that he's a Longhorn, man, that just
I was like,
that kind of tarnishes.
I liked Earl Thomas too. Coming into the NFL, I liked Earl Thomas, and I'm like, okay, well then you see how he kind of acted that last year when he got injured. Like, okay, and then he doesn't know where he's going, and all of a sudden this story comes out about this whole thing, I don't know, let's just call it a sexcapade. How about let's call it that? But like the more you read into it, you're like, this dude is just straight up odd. He's like Kanye West level weird, okay? Like there's weird, and then there's like Kanye West territory. You're getting into some weird shit if you're in Kanye West territory. Anyway, enough about Earl Thomas. I felt very bad for Dak because he was a 4th round pick guy. Like he came in year 1 and proved that he was right for the NFL. And if you remember, I think we recorded the podcast. I told everybody Dak Prescott was going to be legit in the NFL. I told people he's going to be legit. He wasn't taken until the 4th round by the Cowboys, and I told people he is going to be legit in the NFL, and he did. He was not amazing, but he was legit. He was a starting quarterback.
Right.
Now, is he Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees type of elite level? No. He's nowhere near that. Plus, he had, Zeke Elliott running the ball everywhere and a massive offensive line that helped him out. I'm interested in this whole deal, dude, because 4 years, he's 27 years old. It's a 4-year deal. He didn't want a 5-year deal. He wanted a 4-year deal because he wanted to be able to get another second big contract before he got really old. We're talking about, I'm trying to pull it up here, Rod. So I can have it. His signing bonus is $66 million estimated, so it's $160 million with $126 guaranteed.
126 guaranteed, yeah.
Wow. It's a lot of money for a guy coming off of a major knee injury, right? A leg injury, not just knee, leg injury, man. That was gruesome. I don't know, man. I'm not saying it's a good deal or a bad deal. I'm just saying at this point, I don't know. There's a lot of question marks here for me, man.
I think that this was an emotional decision by Jerry and Stephen Jones. I think that after, jerking him around for the last 2 years, he's playing decent, and then the gruesome injury.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, this dude hasn't been a problem on your team at all. Hasn't caused you any issues off the field. Has been a really good leader in the locker room. People, teammates, coaches, they all respect him. Okay, pay the man. Pay the man. If you believe in him, if you know that he's your guy, and this is the guy that you're gonna ride or die with, then pay the man, right? And so, am I saying that he deserved, Drew Brees money and Tom Brady money, when Tom, was getting, mad money and things like that? Not necessarily, but still, Dak wanted at least a 4-year deal, and Jerry Jones, was once again messing around with him, saying, "No, we'll give you 5." Come on, man. Come on. At least give him, at least he'd give him that. The overall monetary value, I think that Dak would have been like, we can live with, but hey, at least I have to have at least a 4-year deal.
Okay.
And like I said, just the way that, the Jones family treated him for those 2 years, I don't think it was right. And then once again, I think the injury happened, and then all of a sudden, some time went by. You saw the value of Dak Prescott go up, to be honest with you.
Okay.
When you had Andy Dalton and some unknown quarterback starting for you, right?
Yeah.
And you saw what happened to the Cowboys. They didn't have a good season. I mean, even though, they were this close to making the playoffs, let's keep it real. The NFC East was pure trash this past season. Mm-hmm. So, from top to bottom, every single team in that division was pure trash, And so when you look at what happened after the Prescott injury, and then you saw the quarterback play go almost really, in a sense, torpedo, that's when Prescott's value started to go up.
Okay. No.
Because I really do believe that Jerry and Steven, there's like, you know what? We already have this guy in house. We need to go ahead and lock this dude up because we just saw what just happened. We just saw what just happened, this past season. We know what we can get in Dak. We got to continue to get some weapons around him and whatnot. But he is a very good quarterback. Is he like elite? He's close. He's very close. Very, very close. He's not elite just yet, but once again, if you pin him up against 15 other quarterbacks in the league, you take Dak Prescott easily over those other 15 or so quarterbacks in the league. So yeah, I say he's top 15, right? And so I think with everything that transpired in the injury, this was guilt on the Joneses' part. That's my thoughts on that.
Okay, all right. So you don't think that the Deshaun Watson situation that's currently brewing in Houston had anything to do with this? It wasn't the least bit a motivator for Jerry and Steven?
I don't think so. Okay. I don't think so. Jerry is so egotistical, to where he's not copping for no other franchises, maybe except for, to be no. I take that back. He's not copping for any he's not checking for any franchise. You know what I mean? So because number one, from a financial standpoint, he has the wealthiest or most valuable franchise in almost all the sports, or at least top 3 in all the sports. So from a financial standpoint, he's not checking for nobody, right?
Okay.
So when you have that moniker, that boosts up your ego a little bit. That kind of tells you that, hey, look, I know what I'm doing, right? So I don't think that he's checking for any other franchises, especially the Texans, man. So
okay, that's fair. That's fair. For me, I differ in that. I think I'm not saying it changed his world, but I am going to say that there was a smidgen, and we've been using that kind of a little bit here, a little smidgen. A smidgen of. I think there was a smidgen of concern, basically, because Deshaun signed a secured deal the year before. Pat Mahomes signed a massive deal, and 2 years ago, the massive deals for Carson Wentz and Jared Goff were signed, even though those guys have been shipped off since then. I think for him, just knowing how fickle the quarterback market really is right now and making sure you have your guy, I think that really worried worried Jerry a lot more than he's letting on, because they know what they have. It's not even a devil you know versus a devil you don't know, because Dak isn't awful. He's not, like I said, he's not one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league. Okay, that's a given. But they won with a slightly above average quarterback in the 90s that ended up becoming a Hall of Famer in Troy Aikman. Let's be real, because they built the team around him. Not just, well, let me correct. They built that team around Emmitt Smith. Let's be real. And as long as Troy did his job, he didn't have to take the entire team on his back. He didn't have to take the entire game on his back, which that was how they operated back then. He's a better quarterback than Troy Aikman. I'm gonna put him on. I'm gonna say he's on that level that's just a smidgen below Pat Mahomes. And because it goes to me right now, I'm not talking about like Pat Mahomes is the top of the NFL. I'm talking about in the hierarchy of NFL quarterbacks. If I had to, think about it, Aaron Rodgers is probably number 1 for me. Okay, Tom Brady has to be somewhere in there. I'm going to say maybe 2, maybe 3. I have to really sit down and think about that again. More than likely 2, because he's Tom freaking Brady. Okay, he's still winning. Man. He's 43 and he's still winning rings. Then you have Pat Mahomes. It's up there as well. Obviously, previous Super Bowl winner, elite quarterback. But right below him is not too far below him is Deshaun Watson. This year they had a really bad year at 4-12, but he put up great numbers. You can debate okay, if he had such a great season, why they do so bad? Why they only win 4 games? Okay, whatever. Save that discussion for another day. But right below him is a couple of quarterbacks in that area, maybe Matt Stafford, Dak Prescott, a few of those other guys, right? And then you have your Matt Ryans, who are a turd now, and I just the Ryan Tannehills, what? How is this guy getting paid so much money? They're not awful, but they're not blowing you away. I'm kind of curious if Dak has it in him, or if he can be healthy enough, especially coming off of a compound fracture in his leg, to be that elite again, or be that good again where he was, or will he have concerns? Will it be in his head because his legs literally split like a chicken wing? It just went crack. I don't know, but he's getting paid 125 million guaranteed. He's set for the rest of his life. He's gonna have more money he'll be able to spend in 3 or 4 lifetimes, whatever. I do think, though, that there is a little bit of concern when I really think about this, seeing that Jerry and Steven were like, okay, what are our options? Well, everybody's being shipped off. We could try to make a run at Deshaun Watson. Do we really want to look that bad to our team to say, hey, we have Dak that we haven't taken care of, like you said, we've kind of screwed around with for 2 years now, but we're just going to let him walk and bring in Deshaun Watson, but give up a whole future to get Deshaun. Multiple first-round picks, multiple second-round picks, maybe some other players that we have on the team that fill roster spots or are actually starters for Deshaun Watson, just so we can say we want to move on. I think you're right there. They're like, okay, well, let's do Dak. Let's do a solid. The other part of me says they're just like, they see what the going rate for quarterbacks out there in the market are, and they're just like, why don't we just go ahead and pay our guy then? We've paid him for 2 years, franchised him for a couple years. Let's just go ahead and give him that 4-year deal he wants. He doesn't want a 5-year. He wants a 4-year. Let's just give him the 4 now. And I have to go look at. I haven't seen the full details of it, Rod, but I'm assuming there has to be an out in year 3 or something, right? I don't know. Did you see that? Is there an out, a team out at all? I'm not saying option him out, but to reduce dead cap space, is there a year 2 or year 3 cut where they can save more money?
I didn't look into the particulars,
okay,
of the contract, because literally, this news dropped right before, I want to say almost moments before we went on air. So, So, we really hadn't had a chance to really dive off into the contract and check out the T's and C's.
Yeah.
So,
no, yeah. I get it. I get where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. I think there is a little more of a motivator in place for the ownership than what we're really thinking right now. I think there's a little bit more, and I think just watching the whole disaster with Deshaun Watson wanting out, the last thing they want to do is tag Dak, and Dak be like, you know what? I see what's going on, 4 hours down the road on 45. I'm going to do the same thing. And they're going to be like, well, we have no quarterback now. So I think they say, look, let's just pay the guy now and we'll deal with it in 4 years. Like, let's just see what we have, you know. And I don't know. Maybe there is some out because of his injury. I don't know. I really don't know the full workings of the deal and the full construct of the collective bargaining agreement. I don't know. But I think that they're motivated by what's been taking place in Houston, which is that Deshawn Watson doesn't even want to play for them. Like, he literally met with Dave Culley, the head coach, and told him, yeah, I still want to play. I still don't want to play for you guys. I don't know why you guys keep bothering me. Like, I don't want to be here. And they're just like, well, you signed a contract in September. We don't have to trade you. You have a no trade clause. You literally put that in there. So ultimately, and you know what I'm hearing, we can actually bring this up. You know, shit's popping up in the Pacific Northwest with Russell Wilson. He basically wants to become he basically wants to have board status on the franchise, and if not, he wants to be traded somewhere else. And he's talked about he wants to go play for the Bears, apparently. Deshaun's starting to run out of options here with all the trades that have taken place the last few weeks, with Matt Stafford going to L.A. Where did Carson Wentz go to again? I forgot.
Indianapolis.
They're starting to run out of spots here. Like, he's going to he can't end up in the Cleve because they have Baker Mayfield. They're all in Baker love right now. I mean, and you have Josh Allen in Buffalo, because in the past we would make these kind of jokes. He's starting to run out of options. He may end up having to say, I'll go to the Jets. Like, even though apparently he didn't want to go there, like, he may say, I may have to go there. But he's starting – I don't know, man. Like, a decision's going to – somebody's going to have to give in this game of chicken. I think I kept leaning towards the team, but – the more I see all of these quarterbacks being moved to new places, starting quarterbacks to new places, I'm starting to feel a little worried. If I was Deshaun, if I was his camp, I'd be a little worried right now. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, and I can get that train of thought, but let's still keep it real here. You know, Deshaun is still, all world talent, and so there's gonna be a team that's going to get his services, right? So if the rumors as far as Russell, I was about to say Russell Westbrook, Russell Wilson, if all of that comes to fruition, Seattle's going to need a quarterback, right? So I can definitely see Deshaun Watson flourishing in a Seahawks uniform. Let's not forget about the 49ers, because their relationship with Garoppolo is still kind of shaky. They still don't know what they want to do with Jimmy G. And so, that's always a possibility. And like I said, numerous times, in numerous occasions on this podcast, I would not be surprised if the Texans, did a Patriots South move and hooked up a trade with the 49ers, Deshaun Watson for Jimmy G and a buttload of picks, so
if they
I would not be shocked if that goes down.
They're going to piss off a lot of people because of the whole Jimmy Garoppolo New England connection.
That's right.
And
that's right.
I don't know, man, because remember, before they even hired Nick Casario, that goober Cal McNair basically told people, we're not New England South. And then they hired Nick Casario weeks later when they were about to hire Omar Khan, but it was being said from insiders that Khan did not like Easterby and was going to tell him he needed to leave the team. So what did Easterby do? Drove out to Cal's house and said, we can't hire Khan. We cannot hire him. Why? He's not a culture fit. He's not going to be what you want in culture fit. Let me sell you somebody. Go back to Nick Casario to save his own ass. And that's what he did.
Yep.
It's known this happened. We know this happened. Just like we know that Easterby's out there calling people's mamas, telling them they need to get their boys in line. Grown-ass men, and they're telling them you need to get your boy in line, or he's not listening to me. Like, that stuff is proven. It's out there, and it's confirmed. Like, this isn't just gossip. That's stuff that a sports blogger writes that says, I've been told by numerous players on the Texans team that this has happened. And, of course, everyone's saying, oh, it's Deshaun's camp throwing it out there. Like, before the rift even started with Deshaun, we were hearing this stuff, last year. We kind of knew about this stuff. I don't want to go in there again. I'm done with that. I'm moving on. Let that whole shit show take care of itself, because it will. It'll flourish and crash and burn eventually. What I want to talk about is just this whole drafting and bargaining side of things here. You're talking about San Francisco with the number 12 pick. They obviously are going to have to give up at least 3 first-rounders. Unless the Texans are stupid enough to say, we could salvage Jimmy Garoppolo. We could salvage his NFL career. We liked him in New England. We thought he could have been the future there. Okay, we will take Jimmy G, and instead of giving us 3 first-round picks and a pair of 2s, you only have to give us 2 first-round picks and 1 2 because you're giving us a high-paid guy in Garoppolo. That's just stupid. That's stupid to me. That kind of just like, are we really talking about that? Chicago, they want to make a play at Russell Wilson. Well, Chicago has the number 20 pick, and we're talking about Zach Wilson is now skyrocketing off the board. So
yes, he is.
I mean, like, people are shooting him up the board now. BYU quarterback Zach Wilson. Man, like, maybe Detroit. I don't know. Like, I don't know, man. Jared Goff went to Detroit, right? He went in that deal. Yeah, okay. So, but maybe they do. Maybe they decide they draft a quarterback to sit behind Goff to make the decision if they like the guy or not. I don't know.
Right.
Philly, what are they going to do at the number 6 pick? What are they going to do?
The
Falcons at number 4. Honestly, Matt Ryan is not getting any younger.
Yep. Matt Ryan's not getting any younger. But I'm hearing Philly. I'm hearing that you got somebody like a Jamar Chase that's very high on their board. Sure. the LSU the wide receiver from LSU. Yeah. If you look at what he did last year, of course he didn't do anything last year because he opted out to prepare for the NFL. Sure. Due to COVID-19. So, but if you look at what he did the year before, in his sophomore year, he won the Biletnikoff Award. If my memory serves me right, he did win the Biletnikoff Award and was just an absolute nightmare on the field. Absolute nightmare. So, yeah.
But to go to the point though, like you're talking about him going to San Francisco, I think that there's been a lot of quarterback shuffling for playoff teams or borderline or teams that struggled this year that thought they were a playoff contender going into the season. Mm-hmm. I'm very curious now. Like, you're basically saying there are a lot of my whole point is that there are a lot of teams maybe outside of San Francisco that don't want to make a play and give up all those draft picks.
Right.
I mean, seriously, like Chicago, they're going to have to offer a crap ton of picks or something to get Russell Wilson from the Seahawks. The Seahawks are definitely going to want that number 20 pick. Well, what are they going to do? What are they going to do with that pick? Are they going to go quarterback and mold someone, or are they going to say, give us a bunch of picks for Russell Wilson? We're going to flip those picks over for Deshaun Watson. I don't know about that. I don't know, like, if that's something that Seattle would do. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know that their GM out there, he's done some really good stuff over the years. Their team over there has done some really good stuff, especially when the Legion of Boom, when it came time for everybody to get paid, some people were going to have to go, and they did what they had to do, and it looked like they were smart moves. The guys that they let walk and the guys they traded off or whatever, it looked like the way they structured things. Eventually, Richard Sherman had to move out, Earl Thomas did, because they knew that the way that team played wasn't going to keep them healthy forever, and they did the right thing. They've rebuilt that team to where it's still a playoff team, even after all of the changes that's happened on that roster. I don't know, man. I'm very curious because it does worry me that not worry me, but if I was Deshaun's people, I'd be a little worried that my window of options where I want to go are closing up.
You know what? This thought just came to my mind.
What's up?
And if there's a lot of Houston Texan fans that are listening to this podcast, you're probably not going to like me after I say this.
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
There is a team that nobody is talking about that could possibly shock the world. I don't see this being their way of doing things.
Okay.
But, we didn't see COVID going down last year, so anything is possible. Like Kevin Garnett said some years ago, anything is possible. Okay. Right? The New England Patriots, they don't have a quarterback right now.
No, they don't.
They don't. And I guarantee you the Patriot way, they're not going to take a quarterback in the first round. They're not. Now as far as trade, as far as any type of assets, I don't really think that they have any assets to really give because, for the most part, if they're, playing good, they're normally, you're going to have a low first round pick,
sure,
with the exception of this year. I mean, they're picking in the middle round, right? Middle of the first round.
Yep.
So with that being said, them picking in the middle of the first round, would it be tempting to go after a Deshawn Watson? Once again, they have no quarterback as far as a quarterback that can be not even a serviceable quarterback if my memory serves me right. I don't even remember who backed up Cam Newton last year. Was it Brian Hoyer?
I don't even know anymore, honestly.
Exactly. So I would not be shocked if New England makes a play. But I don't think that they have enough to be able to make that trade, even valuable for both teams.
Okay.
But at the same time, once again, that Houston-New England connection, they may be able to work something out on the back end, do a little something under the table to where they wound up pulling off that trade. And this whole thing about, we're not becoming New England South. Okay, yeah, whatever. All right.
Yeah, I don't see Deshaun wanting to go to Foxborough.
I don't either. I don't either.
Because we have to remember he has a no trade clause, so he can immediately squash anywhere he doesn't want to go to. So like if they come to him and say, look, we're getting offered the first overall pick from Jacksonville. You really think he wants to go play for the Jags? I mean, I know they're a Florida team, man, but it's still Jacksonville. There's a lot of jokes that get made about Jacksonville, Florida. I don't see like him saying, yeah, I'll go ahead and go play in Jacksonville. Like I don't see that. The Jets one surprises me because I figured that was up north, but it's not New England, way up north, but it's still up in that area. I figured he's more of a southeastern. Was that where he's from? Is that Carolina?
Yeah, he's from Georgia. He's from right outside of Atlanta.
That's right. Because Warwick Dunn built them that house when he was a little boy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Like Carolina, would he even think about Carolina? I think he might.
Carolina's an option.
I think he just doesn't want to go to the Jets because it's like that's a lateral move of crappy ownership, I think that's
right.
I think that's really probably what that one is like I'm sure his agent probably told him, no, you don't want to do New York. Why not? It's New York. It's like, look, it's Woody Johnson, man. Like it ain't any better than Cal McNair. He's been doing Cal McNair longer than Cal McNair's been doing Cal McNair, okay?
Right.
Let's see here. The Vikings? No, he ain't going up to Minnesota. Denver's probably an interesting one just because he gets to go over there and work with guys like Elway, who's no longer president, right? I think he's like he's just like a consultant, I think, or is he still?
Yeah, I think he's still an exec, okay. But he's not, over football operations. Sure. I don't think.
I mean, he ain't going to Washington. We know that's a fact. I mean, Miami's the big one.
Oh no.
Miami is, it's a short plane ride to Atlanta, which I'm sure that comes into play there. But I don't think from what I remember, Miami is not ready to dish out all those picks. They're not ready to. The Matt Stafford deal has pretty much showed you what a 32-year-old, about to be 33-year-old quarterback can get. A 25-year-old that hasn't even hit his prime yet. He's going to command a ton more, but he kind of set the market there. Matt Stafford did him a favor showing you're going to have to get a haul for Watson. So I don't think Miami really wants to do that. Maybe Chicago thinks about it, and maybe Chicago touches base if the Russell Wilson stuff doesn't play out. They say, look, our option number 2 is Deshaun. Would he be willing to go up there? I don't know. Like, is he willing to play in that cold-ass temperature where it's sub 10 degrees? Like, sub, negative 10, negative 15 degree weather for such a large part of the year? I don't know. It's tough because that no trade clause really makes it's an added layer of what ifs. Like really, it is. But what I do know is with all these deals that have been taking place, like you said, New England obviously needs a quarterback, and Belichick's going to want a guy. Maybe he just goes out and signs Ryan Fitzpatrick and says, we'll draft a guy in the first or second round and see if that guy could be a future for us. Maybe that happens. That's kind of like the New England way, right?
Yeah. With your point on that, then I could definitely see New England drafting somebody like a Trey Lance.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I think that would be more of the New England way is just like you said, signing Ryan Fitzpatrick, to kind of weather the storm for half a season, maybe a full season, draft a guy with very high potential in a Trey Lance and, sit him on the bench for about a year, let him get used to the NFL culture and then bring him in the following season. I mean, I can definitely see the New England doing something like that.
There's starting to be this rumor that's kicking up the last few days of Jimmy Garoppolo potentially going back to New England in a trade. I don't think that's a Belichick's nature. He shipped the guy. He's going to ship him, bring him back. Like he shipped him off. He's going to offer picks to bring him back. I don't really see that's not really in his nature. I don't really think he would do that. Now, to be fair though, I thought they had burned a bridge a long time ago with Richard Seymour, and then didn't he go back at the end of his career, if I'm not mistaken?
He did.
So,
he did.
Anything's possible. I just think it's highly unlikely. Like I said, there's other ones to throw out there because there were talks earlier about Derek Carr for Deshaun Watson. Las Vegas wants a high profile guy. Does he really? I don't see Deshaun really wanting to go to the desert in Vegas. I don't know. Like I said, it makes it hard because he's going to put restrictors on. He's going to put his restrictors on. He's going to put down. We're forgetting the one thing though is that technically Aaron Rodgers could be out there on the market here very soon.
Aaron Rodgers could be on the market, soon. You're absolutely right.
I think that'd be a guy. If there was a guy the Patriots would make a run after to pay, would be Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I could think of would be if Aaron Rodgers hit the market. Whatever happens, if the bottom falls out in Green Bay, and Aaron Rodgers is without a team, I could potentially see New England making a run for him.
Oh yeah, New England. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry if I was being confusing there. I was thinking about. I'm just bouncing all over the place just because there's a lot of what ifs and interesting things sticking out with just everything going on in the NFL. I think that if Green Bay parts ways with Aaron Rodgers, I could see New England saying, "Let's go after Aaron Rodgers."
Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
But
that is the New England way. I get it.
But there's just so much here to really think about because. I mean, look, there's 3 or 4 quarterbacks that are going to be highly touted in this draft, right? 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and who would you think is number 4? Is it Lance?
It's a toss-up between him and Mac Jones.
Okay, let's just say 5. Let's add Lance and Mac Jones in that list. And what's funny? I didn't really think Mac Jones was going to be a guy that was going to be highly touted in the first round, but I'm seeing him move up on boards. It's kind of like
his name is moving up the boards,
it's
man.
Really interesting to me. Like I don't know why. I'm curious on what I think people just want to have an Alabama person move up. Like to see an Alabama quarterback get drafted high. Is that why? I don't know.
I mean, look, I'm currently looking at a mock draft right now. I'm not going to reveal the source, but I'm currently looking at a mock draft right now to where they have the Philadelphia Eagles picking Mac Jones, and the Eagles have the 6th pick in the first round.
Wow, really? So
they have him going that high? Yes.
Okay, so in that rough. Okay, so obviously Trevor Lawrence is number 1, right?
Yes.
Okay, number 2, is it Zach Wilson or is it Justin Fields?
It's Fields.
Okay, so you're saying that Mac Jones is the 3rd quarterback taken then?
According to this,
wow, okay.
According to this one, they have Mac Jones being the 3rd quarterback coming off the board.
Are we sure that's not an Alabama fan's blog? Alabama fan.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
RollTide.com. RollTideDraft.com.
All right.
RollTideDraft.com. Yeah, Mac Jones. He's going to go out there and he's going to do great in Philly.
Man,
no, I don't. That's interesting to me, man, because I was seeing for weeks now Zach Wilson being shot up the board. Like, when the offseason first kicked off, I was thinking, like, I was seeing him being projected as a late for like a very late, like in the 20s first round pick. And then I've seen him move up into the teens. And then I saw someone say, oh, well, don't be surprised if Zach Wilson goes top 5. I'm like, get the fuck out of here with that. Like, what? But now you're saying that it's Mac Jones is going to be the top 3, one of the third quarterback taken. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And then this particular one has Zach Wilson going to the Panthers, right?
Right after that. Well, at 8. 2 picks.
At 8. Yeah. And then the absolute next pick is the Broncos picked, where they got Trey Lance going to the Broncos.
Oh, well, it's true. The Broncos need a quarterback. The Panthers need a quarterback. The Eagles need a quarterback.
Yes, they do.
The Jets and the Jags all need quarterbacks. That's 5 of those top 10 picks right there. That's half of the top 10 need quarterbacks. And that's not to say what's going on with Matt Ryan and the Falcons, like what their future plans are.
Right.
They may be thinking about it's time to start thinking about the future, just because the law of diminishing returns has hit Matt Ryan very, very hard the last couple seasons. 5 of the top 10 are quarterbacks. All 5 are there. Man, that's just Mac Jones, dude. Like, really, I don't know, man. That blows my mind.
Yeah, wow. Man. Yeah.
Okay.
So, that's crazy.
So Jacksonville quarterback. I'm going to go down the list. You tell me what your odds are. Like, what's your percentage possibility that team's going to go quarterback? The Jaguars with the number pick.
Oh, that's 100%.
100%. Jets.
100%. Yeah. I'm willing to bet a paycheck on that.
Okay, and the Jets as well.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Hands down.
Okay.
Hands down.
Dolphins. They got Tua.
The Dolphins, with Tua, the fact that they're going to be riding on Tua.
Okay.
I think they go receiver here. They have to.
Going Smith?
I'm saying Smith.
Okay.
Because, hey, take advantage of the chemistry, right?
Sure.
Between him and Devontae. They played together, right?
Sure.
So I could see, Devontae Smith going at 3.
Okay.
But at the same time, I could definitely see them wanting to snatch up Jamar Chase at that pick as well, too.
That's fair. We both agree that more than likely the Falcons aren't going to go quarterback. The Bengals, they're probably not going to go quarterback because they got their guy.
The Falcons, that 4 pick, the majority of the mock drafts that have seen, the majority of them are saying that they're going to get Kyle Pitts, tight end from Florida.
Okay, tight end. I like that.
Yeah. And which I like that pick, to be honest with you.
Sure.
I think that Kyle Pitts, I'm not going to say that he's Tony Gonzalez reincarnated.
Okay.
But he's a faster version of Tony Gonzalez.
Wow. Okay, that's saying a lot because Tony was pretty fast.
Yeah. Kyle Pitts is faster than this dude. Look, if you compare the tape, and you gotta remember, I live in Gator country, so I see a lot of the Florida Gators, dude.
Okay.
Kyle Pitts is faster than Tony Gonzalez.
Okay. All right. Bengals. Joe Burrow is gonna be their guy more than likely. Then they need
offensive line help.
And here we go with quarterbacks. Eagles, obviously quarterback, right? With Carson Wentz being shipped out.
Yeah.
Okay. Lions, they have Jared Goff, so more than likely they're not going to go quarterback. They're going to give Goff a year. Okay.
No.
Broncos, quarterback. Cowboys, re-signed their guy. That's it, man. I mean, we've stated there's 5. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've said 5 of the top 10 right there. That's it.
Yep.
And then immediately after that, poor Giants at number 11. They're like, can I have a quarterback too? No.
Please.
No, you don't get a quarterback. No, you don't get a quarterback. Come on, guys. We're the Giants.
Well, but they're still hanging their hat on Daniel Jones. They haven't given up on Daniel Jones.
I think I read somewhere that they said that after this season they have hope in him. And I laughed a little bit, then I cried a little bit, then I laughed again. Then I laughed some more, and I said, okay, after that. I was like, I laughed enough. Like, I just don't think Jones is the guy. I think I don't know what they saw in that kid. The 49ers, they're going to be the wild card because ultimately We're talking about they've been rumored to be shipping off Jimmy G, and they keep popping up with Deshaun Watson. So, I don't want to go down the list completely, but just so we can get an idea of that top 10 area. Of the top 10, we both agree of the top 10, half of them are more than likely taking quarterbacks, which means
they're taking QBs.
So there's Zach Wilson, there's your Lance, your Jones, your Fields, and your Trevor Lawrence. So, wow, that's crazy to me, man. So basically, I guess that works in Deshaun's favor because they're not going to be. Well, no, it doesn't really work. When I really, really think about this doesn't work in his favor to go to a team that can really turn it around fast, like a Philadelphia or a Denver or even maybe a New York can turn it around because they have some players on defense. I don't because they're going to have to give up a lot more in terms of picks for the next couple of years to bring in Watson. So it has to be someone in the middle of the road that Houston would really be willing to work with. And by gosh darn it, Rod, New England's in the right smack dab in the middle of that whole thing.
Two teams, man, just like I said.
And so are the Dolphins. The Dolphins are that pick.
I at first, when I was still somewhat on the Texans bandwagon, I was screaming a lot about Miami, that Miami made the most sense for the Texans as far as a business partner.
Yeah.
I think that, Miami is really starting to come off of that, and so if you look at the tone and the pulse of where things are right now, there are two teams, especially after what we just talked about, there are two teams. If we're talking about, having to give up draft picks and players and stuff like that, there are two teams that, that there is a possibility where this stuff can go down. That's New England and San Francisco.
Well, it's going to get very interesting in the next few weeks because we're getting closer and closer to the NFL draft. There are moves that are constantly happening to shape up the NFL here. We haven't officially heard anything from Drew Brees yet, so technically he still could be coming back. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting because with that no trade clause, he can really put the kibosh on any real deal to a team he doesn't want to go to. But really, when you think about, 5 of the top 10 are more than likely going to draft a guy that they think will be their guy coming in as a rookie. And when you look in the middle, there's not very appetizing teams out there outside of maybe Chicago, maybe New England. I don't know. To really think about the future there. There is. I mean, you could think about this. The Saints are at the bottom at 28. They'd have to offer a ton of stuff. Like you're talking about 3 first-round picks and 3 2s to even get a whiff of things.
Hey, it's funny that you just bring up the Saints because this thought just came up in my head.
Let's go. What do you got?
And I'm telling you, this is the ultimate Texan move.
Okay? Go.
All right?
Let's do this.
If they throw out, okay, we want Deshaun Watson, and we will give you Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, the 28th pick, and a whole buttload of second rounders. This year's second rounders, next year's second rounders, and maybe a first round next year.
Rod, this is God. You need to stop with the crack, Rod.
Man,
stop smoking crack.
Hey, once again,
I have spoken.
Hey, am I saying
Jameis
Winston? Am I saying that deal makes a heck of a lot of sense? No, I'm not saying that at all. The deal makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I would not be surprised if the Texans went on and did it.
Sure. I mean, well, look, I know I have a lot of friends on social media that are like Texans diehards that are still. They, for some reason, through this whole fiasco, they have to make Deshaun, frustration for Deshaun, which is fair, frustration for the Texans to be mutually exclusive, and they have to basically pick a side. You don't have to. You could say both sides are being jerk-offs right now. Both sides.
Right.
Right. The Texans for their crap culture and the fact that they're letting this chaplain basically run the organization and tear it from the ground up. Tear it through and through. And then, Deshaun, the guy knew what was going on in September when he signed that contract. He knew it, But maybe that was a strategic play that him and his agent said, look, if we put the no trade clause in there, we can dictate where we can go. If you really don't like what's happening here, but you at the same time you get your pay. You get your $40 million a year. That way, no matter where you go, you have to get this same dollar amount. Whatever happened there, I don't know. You don't have to say that these two frustrations are tied directly to each other. You don't have to be. You can be pissed off at both of them. You can. It's okay to say that, guys. It's fine. But the thing that gets me is that people that are so frustrated with Deshaun are backing up the Texans here and saying like, well, if I was the organization, blah 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 blah. I've been thinking about this a lot, Rod, and I really think that there's still, and I as much as I see the window kind of closing on things that we talked about here the last hour with Deshaun and where he could potentially land in a deal. I still think that the Texans are going to have to do it. And it's solely from one reason and one reason alone. They don't want him to become a cancer in their locker room. Like everyone says, well, he has that contract. He can either sit out or more than likely he's going to show up at some point to play, so he's going to be there. I don't think they want that. What they want is they want to have a little good old boy, like shucks, darn it, gosh, everything is up and holy rolling type of environment. Okay, that's fine, but when you push people out, you have to let them leave. You can't just say, "Well, no, you signed a contract." On top of all that, they're restructuring David Johnson's deal. What the hell, dude? Like, why do they like that guy so much? Like, what is the fascination with David freaking Johnson, man? Come on, like.
It's definitely not, as far as what he can do on the field. It's got to be.
Person. It's about the person. And look, There shouldn't be anything wrong with paying someone because they think they're good professionals or good people. That's great. But when they are subpar talent on the field, you have to adjust for that as well. And right. I think. Oh, well, they negotiated a breakdown of his contract to where they save a ton of money over the next couple of years. Yes, but you're essentially keeping him on the roster when. Honestly, and they let Duke Johnson walk. He's not. If you're keeping him and not Duke Johnson, you obviously don't know anything about talent on the field. Because just watching the tape, you're like, Duke Johnson's miles better than David Johnson was this season. Miles better.
Right.
He wasn't great, and he wasn't like super good, but he was consistently better than David Johnson. And you let him walk.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, hands down. Down.
My thing is that at the end of this whole thing, when it's time for Deshaun to show up to check in, they're gonna have to let the guy play. They're not gonna just let him just sit on the bench at $40 million. Are they really that crazy to do that? Like, I don't know. I don't know at this point. But my feeling is that they're just gonna go and chip him off because it's easier to do that than have that confrontation. They don't seem like they're the confrontational type of guys. They seem like they're cowards. And they would rather just play this kind of game where it's like, whatever. Dave Culley was the one that reached out to him, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, like, come and meet me." Okay, sat down. Like, yeah, I don't want to play for you guys. I don't want. Like, I thought we were going to talk about something else. I thought we were going to talk about, Game of Thrones or like. I thought I was here to talk about the Mandalorian, Dave. Like, that's what I thought. I thought I was like, are we talking WandaVision? Because cool, but you want to talk about me playing here? I'm not playing here. Like, I want to watch WandaVision. I don't want to play here.
Nothing against you, Chief. Hey, bro. Yeah. Hey, I wish you nothing but great success,
man. Great success, but I don't want to play for you.
Yeah, but nah, this ain't happening.
This ain't happening. It ain't going down like that, Dave. Sorry.
Yeah, and you know what? And the Texans, if they have been paying attention, there's another franchise in the city that just went through this. Called the Houston Rockets, and they saw what James Harden did. All right.
Yeah.
So you can't sit there and tell me that Deshaun Watson isn't capable of pulling the exact same thing when he just literally saw James Harden do the exact same thing, and when you really want to look at, profiles in a sense, James and Deshaun are almost on the same level. I mean, not too far off, as far as superstardom, if you want to call it that.
Sure.
Right. Sure. So yeah, I mean, if the Texans are smart, and they really care about culture, then you have to ship Deshaun off.
And,
Otherwise,
Yeah, I get it. I get it. People may be listening going like, why are we coming back to this? It's because we're talking about probably one of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL that he's ready to leave. He wants to be out there on the market. He wants to be dealt. That is a major thing. While all these other quarterbacks are moving back and forth through trades and all of that stuff, we're talking about one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. And he wants to be out. He doesn't want to play for his team, the team that drafted him. Okay. He just signed a contract a few months ago. Okay. Now he wants out. Okay. There's a lot for us to be frustrated about. I get it, but at the same time, we're talking about a guy that no matter where he lands, he could immediately become a game changer for that franchise. Think about that. If you're talking about the Miami Dolphins with Tua, you're like, okay, they were 10-6. They did, they were a good team. Like, they're a good team, but Tua was like, yeah, okay. Now think about that. Deshaun Watson goes, you're like, well, shit, they're a playoff, they're a freaking Super Bowl contender now. Like, you have to say that, like, they were 10-6, and they go from having a slightly mediocre to a slightly above average quarterback to having one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. Okay, maybe this changes things. San Francisco, they were in the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, 6-10 this year. They dish out their picks, but they have pretty close to the same roster with Lynch running things, with Shanahan, coaching the team. Pretty much the same roster. Give up picks, maybe a player or two. I don't know how it can work, but they bring in Deshaun Watson to lead the team, as opposed to what Jimmy G has done for them. They're a playoff. They're a Super Bowl contender already, right? Right?
Yeah. I mean, you look at, going back to your Miami comment, because I want to, make 2 comments real quick.
Sure.
Is, you put Deshaun on the Miami Dolphins, they're immediately challenging the Bills for the AFC East. Okay. Just like that. They're one player, one quarterback away from challenging the Buffalo Bills in the East, right?
Yeah.
You throw in San Francisco. Let's not forget that they were minus George Kittle for the majority of the career, for the majority of the season last year, and they were minus Nick Bosa on the defensive line last year, who was a game changer in their Super Bowl run.
Yep.
They get both of those guys back healthy this upcoming season. You add in a Deshaun Watson, and they're making noise in the NFC again.
So a healthy Bosa, healthy Kittle, a decent playing Garoppolo. That is what, a 9-7, 10-6 team maybe.
They're 9-7. They're 9-7. Yeah, possible 10-6.
But
you put Deshaun on there.
Differential bringing in Deshaun, you're talking about a 12-4.
Yeah,
but a legit 12-4, not just.
Easy. They're going to win the NFC East if Deshaun shows up. Not the NFC East. If you put San Francisco in the NFC East, they will kill every single team.
Of course they would.
No. But no, they're winning the NFC West, and they're making noise in the NFC, dude. They're making that type of noise.
And if Russell Wilson is traded to Chicago, the NFC West.
It's game set match.
It's game set match because it's like, okay, it's the Niners and everyone else at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I mean, let's still give some credit to the defending Super Bowl champs now.
No, what I meant for the division, the NFC West.
Oh, for the division, yes, that's right.
I meant the division. Like, as much as we talked about Arizona, if Arizona becomes a Super Bowl contender, they're going to be a dark horse. Let's be realistic. They're going to be a dark horse team because Kyler Murray has a lot of questions to answer. That team does have a lot of questions to answer, not just at quarterback, but overall. If JJ helps push them to the next level, they are a dark horse Super Bowl contender, a dark horse that people could be like, oh, okay. Just like the 49ers were a couple seasons ago when we were like, hey, they're a good team, but then like, oh, crap, these guys are going all the way to the Super Bowl. All right. Anyway, so in the next few weeks, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We'll see what happens in the draft. We'll cover things as we go every couple weeks here on the show. Let's go ahead and wrap this up, Rod. You got a parting shot for me tonight, man?
Do I have a parting shot? I mean, I guess my parting shot is, congrats to Dak Prescott, on him getting that contract. Like I said, kind of to recap what we were talking about earlier, I think that Dallas, as much as I hate to say it, but Dallas did the right thing and did, Dak a solid and treated him right. They finally treated him right, gave him his money, and so Dak, he's pretty much going to be set for life. So I'm actually happy for Dak, that he's finally getting his money. Once again, I still could care less about the Cowboys. They could still lose these next couple of seasons, but no, I'm actually genuinely happy for Dak. And so, once again, congrats to Dak, man. And I hope that he is, truly, truly happy with what he got.
Awesome. For me, it was actually a topic that I was thinking we might bring in during the show, but this one was just kind of, we're going to freestyle it. We've been all over the board it was a little bit of a little bit of sports gumbo today. Mostly it was football gumbo, let's be real, NFL gumbo, but
mixed with a little bit of pollen.
A little bit of pollen, yes. And some 11 herbs and spices. What I wanted to talk about today was this story came up last week about Jeremy Lin. If you know who he is, Asian player that played in the NBA for a long time, was the first not Chinese born, but first Asian player that won, first Asian to win an NBA title, right? With the Raptors, I think that was what they stated.
Yeah.
He's, all indicators are he's not a bad guy. He's had his struggles in the NBA. He actually played for the Rockets for a season or two. I think I don't even remember.
A couple of seasons. It was a couple of seasons.
That was
when James Harden got to town.
That was a very interesting thing because they brought in Jeremy Lin and then they brought in Omar Osik. They paid a lot of money for those guys. They put poison pills in those contracts. Morey did, so where the teams couldn't match those restricted free agent deals. And then they immediately, right before the season started, traded for James Harden. Probably one of the most one-sided deals, lopsided trades in the NBA history. All that aside, so last week he came back. He's in the G League, playing for the Santa Fe Cruz, the Warriors G League team, trying to make his way back in the NBA. He stated that during a game recently, a player made a joke, made a rude comment and called him coronavirus. This is a kind of an environment that's been popping off for the last year, given the political nature of the coronavirus. I mean, our previous Goober president didn't do anybody any favors by making jokes, calling it the Kung Flu, China virus, all that stuff. And when reporters would confront him about how insensitive it was, he would double down. Look, I don't want to make this a show about Trump or anything about politics, but I want to make it about this. We have done our damnedest the last several years now to really talk about a change in our country's culture in regards to race relations and how we treat each other with equality. What really bothers me about this is that the NBA has been at the forefront of that, not only with when it comes to racial equality, but also like domestic violence. They've been really pushing those things hard, right? And I don't know the race of the player that said this. Jeremy Lin refused to make it public. The NBA said they're going to investigate. The NBA and the G League are going to investigate to find out more, which means at some point he's going to have to rat out this person. But I think he probably should, because guys, this is a league that is trying to push out there with with the NFL and other pro sports, how we need to treat each other fairly, regardless of the color of our skin. And given the nature of things, that still does not make it right for what happened to him. Now, I also don't think it's right that N-bombs are dropped, by fans, especially if you go to Utah. I'm going to be real about this, guys. There's a reason why a lot of players around the league hate going to go play against Salt Lake City in Salt Lake City, is because there are a lot of racist-ass fans out there that will make some really rude comments. And in 2021, we got to be better than this. I mean, I know that the NBA, when they can outright find these players, find these fans, they ban them from the NBA games for life, whatever happened here, guys. I really think the G League and the NBA need to really come together and take this opportunity, because regardless of the color of the colors of the skin of the victim in this situation, whoever was told these things, it still does not fit this whole initiative of we need to be better in regards to race relations. We need to be better all across the board. If we're going to do this, we have to be consistent no matter what. No matter the race of the people. You can't just say, well, run races. Well, yeah, but because of, we believe that the virus started in China and he's his family's from China, or whatever you think your justification is, just stop. Just stop. Because really, Jeremy Lin's an American. Let's be real. Regardless of the color of his skin or where his ancestors come from, he was born in America, raised in America. He's American, right? As far as I know, unless I'm completely botching that, but the guy went to Stanford, right? Is that where he went? Stanford?
Harvard, man.
Harvard. He's a Harvard grad. Man, he's a Harvard grad. I think we have to be better than this. And what I think is, I don't think that we have to cancel, because that's such a thing, cancel culture. It's such a stupid thing that we have to go this far and empower people on the internet to really think that they can do this, whenever they feel bored at home. But the reality is these organizations really need to come down on things like this. I was a part of when I worked in media, I worked with a guy that covered the NBA for a long time, and he basically said that, racial slurs get thrown around a lot. Not only the N-word with the A at the end of it from black players to each other. I don't even want to go into that. That's a whole other can of worms. But what I mean is like the hard ER being called from a white person to a black person calling a white person. There are bad terms, but there is an equivalent to that N-word. Let's be real. But still, like, just having that racial thing being bounced back and forth, and it's not being joked. It's not a joking thing. It's like they're aggressively calling each other this, and it's being allowed. Now, it's apparently gotten better over the years on the court because of the quality of microphones and audio that we have coming down in HD equipment, So they really can't do that. Okay, fine. And right now with coronavirus, like, the courts are dead silence, and silence. So if you say the N-word to someone else, like, you're done. Like, ain't no way you can get around it. You can't see your account was hacked. Let's be real. Like,
hot mics all over the joint, man.
You could, man. Like, if somebody cuts a fart on the court, you're gonna hear it, man. That's just straight up, right? It's like everything, because there aren't any fans out there. But seriously, though, guys, it's 2021. We got to be better than this. We have to be better than this, regardless of what you see the assholes that run this country in both parties, how they treat each other, how they treat you guys with disrespect and just irreverence. We have to be better than that. We have to be better than all of them. We have to be, because we have to make an example for the future. And if we're going to allow promotion of equality, we have to be consistent all across the board. Whatever, if this is true, that if this really did happen to him, it's unacceptable, just like any other slur that's being thrown out there. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. It needs to stop. We have to be better. That's it for me. Right?
Hey, Pat. Hey, I agree with everything that you're saying on that. All joking aside, and it's probably something that maybe in further episodes, sure. Once things really start to pop off with the investigation, that's something that we can definitely talk about in depth, right? And so, but just real quick, and just to kind of lighten things up,
little levity here. Give it to me.
Yeah. So you brought up hot mics, right? We brought up hot mics, right? I wish, and please, everybody, just roll with me on this. If this pandemic took place, back in the late 90s,
or even in the late 80s, man. Oh,
right. Oh. And we had the type of technology, that to where you can hear a pin drop on the basketball court with folks like Jordan and Lambeer and Bird and Magic Johnson and Dr. J and Barkley and all those guys. Man, if I was a promoter, this would be a pay-per-view event, because I'm like, okay, you gotta pay money to hear the crap that's being talked about on the court, man.
Real talk. In the late 80s, the NBA was ECW before there was ECW, because like shit was popping. Let's be real. You could look at Bill Lambier and know that man dropped the N-word with a hard ER like nobody's business. You know it.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you're literally talking about the Hammerstein Ballroom at every freaking NBA arena, man.
I mean, yeah, I agree. It was. I mean, if we had the HD consistency with video and audio like we did back then, you would be like, whoa, ooh. Man, I just real quick, I made a comment about cancel culture, but like, they try to find things to cancel throughout the past 30 or 40 years because they get bored online. man, like, okay, guys, if y'all want to go after certain comedians and stuff, y'all need to go feast on Howard Stern, because there's like all types of stuff. But that aside, like, can you imagine if cancel culture got to like the NBA and they learned about, like, when people make these comments, I'm like, do you not know who Karl Malone is? Because he's the biggest piece of shit human being I've ever met. One of the biggest. Oh, man. Like, he literally raped a 14-year-old girl while he was in college. Like, what? No, we didn't know that. Yes, he got her pregnant. Oh, yeah, her son ended up going into the NFL, and he had no communication with him until he was drafted. Just like his daughter, who played in the WNBA, who he had no relationship with her until she was drafted into the professional sports league, the WNBA. Like, that's how big of a piece of crap Karl Malone is. I just, like, there's a lot of things I don't like, Rod. I just... And one of those things is Karl Malone. Like, I don't like him. Besides the fact that he played for the Utah Jazz, who had a real crappy fan base, and they were just were a pain in the butt of the Rockets forever. But beyond all that, like, he just wasn't a good human being. When you really, everyone thought, oh shucks, he's a 6'9" black guy that drives a trailer and wears cowboy boots and cowboy hats. I like this guy. It's like, no, dude, that's all a front. This guy is a POS to the highest degree. Like, and I just. Like, I think about, like, things like that. Like, I can only imagine the kind of crap that was said on the court back then. And yeah, man, if they had mics out there, like, then you could hear everything. Man, like, what? Oh my God.
I mean,
like, True Life Crew be like, yeah, we need to start censoring shit, man. We got to stop this. Like,
hey, Charles Oakley, Xavier McDaniel.
Like I said, you could go down the line. Like, you could go down the line with Rick Mahorn, John Sally, Bill Lambier, Dennis, a young and cuckoo Dennis Rodman, like that. Just Detroit alone, the Pistons alone, man.
The Pistons, yeah. Every single
they
person
get like an NC-17 rating. They would.
I mean, every single person on that bench, going from John Daly to baby-faced Isaiah Thomas. Yeah, don't let the baby-face fool you, man. Freaking Isaiah Thomas was a goon, man. Straight up.
I was left off the Olympic teams because you were an asshole. That's why. You're an asshole. Rob, let's wrap this bad boy up. Look, guys, if you want to find us online, social media, just hit @/Cap Casualties on any of those sites. Subscribe to us. We're on Spotify. We're on Stitcher Radio. We're all everywhere, but I prefer Spotify. I like Spotify. It's a good app, man. It's a good app. I like Spotify.
For sure.
Go subscribe to us on Spotify. We appreciate all the listens. Whenever we post these things randomly or whatever, our semi-regular schedule, we still get an increased amount of listeners, so I really appreciate that. That's all I got, Rod. Anything else before we head out, man? Before shut the lights off?
Man. Let's go ahead and call it a day on this one, man. Hey, it was a pleasure as always, Chief.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you all for listening. We'll be in touch.
Peace.